Dr. Fred has shown time and time again, umtoe kwa ICT, umweke kwa education, umweke kwa interior, he'll still deliver. Some of the people you're mentioning here, they don't have a track record of delivering. They've been MPs, they have been ministers, they've been in high positions. But when we now look back at when the Commission of Inquiry was formed, there was no supplementary budget. There was no budget for that financial year that dictated we could have this Commission of Inquiry, and even the money that was allocated to them was not put out there in the public record. What does that say? That says that there is a question of budgeted corruption. Making matters worse, the other day we met at a certain TV station here in Kenya, and I asked that question since it was a pre-recorded show. After we left, the whole segment for my question was cut. Last year, when people were agitating for change and went to the streets, he came out to the streets, and I commend him for that. And his idea of upholding constitutionalism is something that Kenyans and Gen Zs were like, let's do this. And they were mentioning his name to a point that he came out there and expressed his intentions to vibe.
How does it feel? Because I've been able to see you interview in quote unquote the sixth, the incoming Fred Matiangi and also Maraga. Tell us more about this.
Okay.
Actually, start with, how does it feel interviewing a person of that caliber, Fred Matiangi?
Okay, so it's an honor, a very great honor to interact with great men in this country. I have political ambitions. I believe I'll become the first woman president of this great country. So with that, I'm trying to now work my journey towards that. And that starts with relationships. That's why I'm building relationships, getting to relate and work with people who have done a lot for this country so that I can learn from the best. For Dr. Fred Matiangi, the sixth president of this country.
You said the sixth?
Yes.
Not in quote unquote?
No, he's the sixth.
Oh.
Yes. So...
But he's the sixth. Gen Z are voting online, Facebook, X, TikTok. But see what happened in Mbere North, Kasipul, Malava, Magarini, Banisa. Gen Z hawakuona. They were nowhere near the voting on the polling stations.
Okay, so what you have to understand is Gen Zs are people who were born between 1997 to 2013. So for this generation, most of them did not vote in 2022. I voted in 2022. Most of them were not registered voters as at that time, and they did not vote. So they cannot vote in by-elections. But since there is voter registration that is ongoing, I believe they'll vote in 2027. And we're actually doing sensitization of young people. Gen Zs watokea, venye tulitokea kwa streets, tutokea kwa polling stations, we register as voters, because that's the only way we can
make him the sixth now.
Yeah, make him the sixth, and also have leadership that is built on integrity and service delivery. Yes. Actually, I wanted to add that you asked about Dr. Fred Matiangi. There is a saying that the former president Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta keeps on saying, and he says that history is very important. It dictates where we've come from as a country, where we are, and where we're going as a country. So with matters history alone, when we judge from the basis of history, we have seen whatever Dr. Fred Matiangi has done. Ukimwangalia, actually most Gen Zs have not, actually they know Matiangi because of 2016, 2017 KCSE results. But before that, immediately after Uhuru took power in 2013, Dr. Fred was the first minister for ICT. And you see the vision that Uhuru had to carry us on from tunatoka analog to nenda digital. That is that big dream that Uhuru had. Dr. Fred is the one who made it possible. He helped us migrate from the analog to digital. All these rights we're enjoying as Kenyans, digital media, social media, a lot of these were things that were done by Dr. Fred Matiangi. When we also look at the education sector, the Ministry of Interior, the sanity that was brought to those ministries at that particular time was something that we have not seen. You have seen how our country is at right now. Sindio, ama unaona aje, are things working? Things are not working, and people are complaining.
Things are working. We now have Rironi, barabara zinajengwa kilometers and kilometers. The president was there just the other day.
Imejengwa? Itajengwa?
In 6 months time, Rais hatapanda tena ndege kwenda Nakuru. Atakuwa anatumia barabara na amesema mwenyewe.
Mine is to I don't want to what I can say is I believe in track record. Track record is something that we have to uphold as a country. Dr. Fred has shown time and time again. Umtoe kwa ICT, umweke kwa education, umweke kwa interior, he'll still deliver. Some of the people you're mentioning here, they don't have a track record of delivering. They've been MPs, they have been ministers, they've been in high positions. Dr. Fred Matiangi has a track record of delivering. He brought sanity to civil servants. You right now unaenda pale Huduma Center, utauma nje because of things that are happening there. So what we need in Kenya is sanity and order and dignity and a lot of things that we believe that Dr. Fred Okengo Matiangi upholds. And yeah, please vote for him. Vote for him, vote for change. Yes. Last year, when people were agitating for change and went to the streets, he came out to the streets. And I commend him for that. And his idea of upholding constitutionalism is something that Kenyans and Gen Zs were like, let's do this. And they were mentioning his name to a point that he came out there and expressed his intentions to vibe. So we had a breakfast session with Dr. David Maraga. It was a very good conversation that he was expressing his interest to vie for presidency of this country. But since I'm a Gen Z and my brain operates, I don't know. It's my brain. It's not me. It's my brain. So I had concerns, which I raised with him, and the reception was a bit hostile, which I was not so happy, to be honest, because I believed I had not interacted with him individually, but since I got the chance to interact with him, what I expected and what was showed to my face was quite different. I wish him all the best with whatever his ambitions for presidency, but I question him on a few matters integrity, because, for example, we were having this transgenerational conversation where our elders feel like the Gen Zs are disrespecting them, which we are not. We're just being authentic. For example, I see the civil servant role as I see the presidency as a civil servant role. So when we have these conversations of us now wanting a presidential candidate who vouches for integrity, accountability, we believe he has those qualities. But on the other side, when we even look at his history, as I said earlier, when we look at his track record. For example, I remember when he was CJ, as he was nearing exiting his tenure there at the judiciary, he kept on complaining that the cartels in the judiciary made him not to achieve his role and do his responsibilities as a CJ, which I believe, if he felt that way, and judiciary being the smallest arm of government, what about someone being a president? The country iko cartels. Let's be honest. And if he's going to be the president, dealing with the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary all in one, and Kenyans at the same time, there are cartels that he's not up to the task to handle them. And even the matter of accountability, I see. I'm actually one of the people who didn't push for this for the government that is in power today, because I checked at their track record and it was alarming. But when you look at in 2022, immediately after the current president William Ruto took power in 2022 August, later that year in November, he formed a commission of inquiry for police brutality, and he made the former CJ Maraga as the chairman for the inquiry, for the commission. The commission ran for a whole year that they were doing research, they were doing findings, compiling all that report that was later on handed over to the president in 2023 December. That's when they submitted their findings. So it having operated for a whole year, it means that they had a budget and a team that was doing that. But when we now look back at when the commission of inquiry was formed, there was no supplementary budget. There was no budget for that financial year that dictated we could have this commission of inquiry, and even the money that was allocated to them was not put out there in the public record. What does that say? That says that there is a question of budgeted corruption. There is that conversation that Kenyans are having. There is budgeted corruption that happens in this country. And we cannot allow that. If we are pushing for integrity and accountability, even for public funds, we have to be very sincere with ourselves. And even later on, for that commission of inquiry to be later on termed as that it was formed illegally by the judiciary, that itself says that we are not being honest with ourselves. I wish he could come out and maybe give his side. I tried pushing for that information. I asked him those questions. I was met with hostility, and even making matters worse, the other day we met at a certain TV station here in Kenya, and I asked that question since it was a pre-recorded show. After we left, the whole segment for my question was cut. So all that combination of all that leaves me with the question of, are we honest with ourselves? Is this a man of integrity? And yeah, I'd leave it at that. But he's a great person. I wish him well, honestly, I do.